Okay, what if everything you thought you knew about the ocean was just wrong?
Hmm.
Like, what if the deepest parts hide not just strange creatures we expect, but truly terrifying anomalies? Things scientists are still trying to figure out.
Things that don't quite fit.
Exactly. Things lurking down there that defy logic. Strange occurrences. They
Mm.
stir up those old fears. Legends. Makes
Oh,
you wonder if the deep ocean is way more alien than we can even imagine.
it's a compelling thought.
Welcome to Cool, Weird, and Possible.
Glad to be here.
So this deep dive, we're plunging right into it. Accounts, research, anything that shines a light, even a dim one, on the ocean's most baffling stuff.
The real head scratcher.
Yeah, the unsettling, the mysterious, the just plain weird parts of the ocean, the stuff that makes you go, what else is down there?
And when you start looking, the first thing that hits you is just the scale of it all, the vastness of the unknown.
Oh, totally. We talk about exploring space, right? But most of our own ocean, still completely unexplored. It's kind of wild.
It really is. We literally have better maps of Mars than we do of our own seabed in many places.
That's staggering, all that crushing pressure, the freezing cold, the absolute darkness.
Yeah, it makes getting down there and staying there to look around incredibly hard and expensive.
Yeah.
We've barely scratched the surface.
So this huge, basically alien world right under our feet, mostly unwatched.
Pretty much. The monitoring systems we do have, like hydrophones, sensors, are usually for specific things. Tracking earthquakes, currents, maybe listening for whales.
Not like general surveillance of the deeps.
No, not comprehensive eyes and ears everywhere. So there are these vast areas where, well, almost anything could be happening.
And that blank space just fuels speculation, doesn't it? Undiscovered life, weird physics. Who knows?
Absolutely. And even the things we have stumbled upon are often, well, incredibly strange. Should we talk about some of the weird sights and sounds?
Yes, it's like
Thanks.
the Milky Seas. That sounds like something straight out of a pirate story.
It really does. For centuries, sailors reported this eerie phenomenon, the ocean's surface glowing.
Not just flashing, but a steady, milky white or greenish light, right? As far as the eye could see.
Exactly. Horizon to horizon, sometimes covering thousands of square miles. For the longest time, it was dismissed. Just folklore, sailors' tales.
Until 2006, wasn't it? Satellites.
That's the one. Satellite imagery finally confirmed it. They caught this massive Milky Sea event in the Indian Ocean. It was huge, over 100,000 square kilometers.
Bigger than some countries. Seeing it from space must have been mind-blowing.
It validated all those old stories and the science behind it. The leading theory involves bioluminescent bacteria, huge blooms of them.
Okay, glowing bacteria, that makes sense. We know things glow down there. But what's the catch? Why is it still a mystery?
Well, the mystery is why. Why do these bacteria gather in such unbelievably massive numbers, enough to be seen from orbit?
Right.
And unlike most bioluminescence, which is usually a quick flash or pulse.
Yeah, like for startling something or signaling.
Right. The Milky Sea glow is continuous. It can stay lit for days, even weeks. Scientists still don't fully understand the trigger or how it's sustained over such a huge area.
A constant glow across an area the size of a small country. Okay, that is deeply weird. All right, shifting gears from something vast to something tiny, but maybe even more baffling at first, the purple orb.
Ah, yes, the little purple blob from 2016. This was the EV Nautilus team. They were using an ROV, a remotely operated vehicle,
Off the coast of California, right, deep down.
deep down, and
Yeah.
they just came across this bright, smooth, very purple blob just sitting there.
I saw that footage. The scientists on the ship sound totally confused. They're joking, calling it Blobus purpurus.
Yeah, they threw out guesses, maybe a spider egg sac,
Yeah.
a tiny octopus. They clearly had no immediate clue what it was.
And didn't a crab try to steal it?
It did. While they were trying to collect it with the ROV arm, this crab scuttled over and tried to poke it or grab it, added to the whole surreal moment.
So did they figure it out? What was the purple orb?
Well, research is still ongoing, but the best guess right now is that it's a new species of volutinid snail, a type of sea snail.
A snail.
Hmm.
Huh. Doesn't look much like a snail.
Not like any we really knew. Even if it is a snail, its appearance was so unusual. Finding it like that was so unexpected. It definitely still qualifies as weird. It just shows you even small things down there can be completely alien.
Okay, strange sights. Check. What about sounds? There's that really famous one, the one that launched all the monster theories.
You have to mean the bloop, recorded back in '97.
By NOAA, right?
Yeah.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They were using underwater microphones. Hydrophones.
Exactly. Hydrophones originally deployed to listen for underwater volcanic activity in the South Pacific.
And instead, they pick up this sound. Super loud, really low frequency.
And the pattern, the acoustic signature, it just didn't match anything known. Not any whale, not a submarine, not earthquakes, nothing.
And that's where the speculation went wild. People thought, could this be some massive unknown creature? And its location, vaguely in the South Pacific, near where H.P. Lovecraft put his fictional sunken city, R'lyeh.
Ah, yes, the Cthulhu connection.
Exactly. So suddenly it's this potential cosmic horror monster burping from the abyss.
It definitely captured the public imagination, a truly mysterious sound from a truly mysterious place. But science kept digging.
And they eventually figured it out around 2005.
Yes. After analyzing more data and comparing signatures, the source was identified as an icequake.
And an icequake. Like an earthquake, but with ice.
Pretty much. The sound generated when massive icebergs crack and break away from glaciers in Antarctica. Those events create powerful, low-frequency sounds that can travel thousands of miles through the water.
So, not a giant monster, just giant ice.
Just giant ice. Maybe a little anticlimactic for the monster hunters, yeah.
A little. But it does show how something totally baffling, something that sounds monstrous, can end up having a natural explanation, even if it's a really, really big natural explanation.
Precisely. And it leads nicely into creatures that are real, but so mysterious they might as well be myths sometimes.
Like the giant squid, the actual real-life basis for the Kraken legends.
Right. Sailors told tales for centuries about huge tentacled monsters attacking ships. The giant squid is real, maybe not quite that aggressive, but definitely huge and elusive.
And we knew basically nothing about them living their lives until, yesterday, relatively speaking. Didn't we only get the first photo of one alive in its deep-sea home in 2004?
That's right. And the first video footage wasn't until 2012. Think about that. A creature that can potentially reach 40, maybe 50 feet long.
Huge.
And it completely avoided being filmed in its natural habitat until just over a decade ago.
That just hammers home how vast and hidden the deep ocean really is. It's something that big can hide so effectively. What else is down there?
It's the big question, isn't it? And there's tantalizing evidence, maybe, of even bigger cephalopods, sperm whales, which dive incredibly deep to hunt squid.
Right, they battle them.
They do. And sometimes they surface with these enormous circular scars on their skin. Sucker marks. Marks much larger than those known from even the biggest documented giant squid.
So, something even bigger than the giant squid might be down there fighting whales. Okay, that's genuinely unsettling.
It hints at possibilities, definitely. And then you have the giant oarfish.
Oh, those things look unreal, like giant sea serpents.
No.
So long and silvery.
They're the longest bony fish on Earth. They can get up to, 56 feet long, weigh 600 pounds?
Incredible. And they live super deep, too, right? Like 3,300 feet down.
Yeah, which is why seeing a live one is incredibly rare. But they do wash ashore sometimes.
Right, usually dead or dying. And that always sparks a frenzy online, doesn't it? People saying it's an omen, predicting earthquakes or tsunamis.
There's a lot of folklore around the strandings, yeah. The actual cause isn't always clear. Could be storms, injury, illness, changes in currents, maybe disorientation.
But for scientists, finding one washed up is actually kind of useful, even if it's sad.
It's a rare opportunity. They can finally study the anatomy, get tissue samples, learn about its diet, reproduction. Things you just can't easily study when they're alive miles below the surface.
So the mystery seeds the folklore, but the specimens feed the science, grudgingly.
Something like that. And it's not just these rare giants. I mean, the life we know exists down there is already so incredibly weird.
The adaptations are mind-bending. Surviving that pressure, the cold, the total lack of sunlight.
Bioluminescence is a huge one, making their own light.
Like the anglerfish with its little glowing lure dangling in front of its face.
Exactly. That's often bacteria living symbiotically in the lure, producing the light. Or sometimes the fish makes the chemicals itself. It's a chemical reaction, luciferin and luciferase.
And they use it for all sorts of things, right? Not just luring prey.
Oh, yeah. Finding mates in the dark, specific flashing patterns. Defense, too.
Like the vampire squid. Doesn't it shoot out glowing goo?
It does. A cloud of bioluminescent mucus, like a glowing smokescreen to distract predators while it escapes. It's amazing.
So cool. And camouflage down there is weird, too. Like being bright red.
Seems counterintuitive, right? But red light doesn't penetrate water very well. Go deep enough and there's basically no red light left.
So, a redfish.
Looks black, perfectly camouflaged in the darkness.
Clever. And some are even blacker than black.
Ultra black skin, yeah. Like some dragonfish or viperfish, their skin absorbs something like 99.5% or more of any light that hits it. Makes them practically invisible, even if a predator uses its own biolight trying to spot them.
Or just being transparent, like glass squids.
Right. Almost completely see-through. It just shows the extreme solutions life finds down there.
Which really sets the stage for the things we find that make scientists just throw up their hands and say, we have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, the true anomalies. The things that just don't fit any current explanation, like those bizarre holes found on the seafloor.
Oh, yeah, that was recent, wasn't it? 2022. Along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge.
That's the one. An ROV mission, way down, over 2.5 kilometers, about that, over 1.5 miles deep.
And they found these lines of little holes.
Perfectly straight lines of small, evenly spaced holes in the sediment. They looked almost artificial, like someone had poked the seafloor methodically.
And there were little piles of dirt next to them, like something had dug them out.
Exactly, suggesting excavation. But despite getting the ROV cameras right up close, they couldn't figure out what made them. No creature was seen, no tracks, nothing obvious.
Okay, that's weird. But the really strange part
Is that similar, equally unexplained holes were spotted in the same region way back in 2004.
So whatever is making them has been doing it for years. Perfect repeating patterns of holes, miles deep, source unknown. That's peak mystery.
It really is a complete puzzle. And it's not just weird things on the seafloor. There are strange phenomena in the water itself. These things being called black hole ocean eddies.
What? Like space black holes. In the ocean. That sounds like bad sci-fi.
Uh-huh. Not literal black holes, no. But scientists have found these incredibly powerful, very stable ocean eddies, huge swirls of water.
Okay. Eddies happen.
Right, but the boundaries of these particular eddies are described by mathematics that are essentially the same as the math describing photon spheres around actual black holes.
Photon spheres.
Yeah.
Where light gets trapped in orbit.
Exactly. So for these eddies, the idea is that once water, or anything floating in it, plastics, nutrients, maybe even small organisms, crosses that mathematical boundary into the eddy.
It can't get out. It's trapped.
That's the implication of the math. They're so stable and coherent, they act like inescapable transport pods, moving vast amounts of water across huge distances without mixing much with the surrounding ocean.
Wow. Finding structures that's stable and, well, perfect in the chaotic ocean. That sounds really surprising.
It is. Scientists are still trying to fully understand the physics that allow them to form and persist and how predictable they are. It's a fascinating intersection of fluid dynamics and, well, almost abstract mathematical concepts.
From glowing seas visible from space, to perfect little holes miles down, to eddies that act like watery black holes. It feels like the ocean is just full of things that constantly remind us how little we actually get it.
And that lack of understanding or maybe misinterpretation ties into some classic mysteries too, like the Bermuda Triangle.
Ah, yes. The Devil's Triangle. Synonymous with ships and planes just vanishing. Flight 19 is the classics, right? Those Navy bombers in 1945.
That's the most famous one, yeah. A whole squadron flew out over the area, reported being disoriented, and then nothing. Never found, despite massive searches. It really cemented the legend.
And the theories range from the practical to the completely out there. Aliens, sea monsters, weird energy field.
Time warps, Atlantis. You name it. The mystery is powerful. But science does offer more mundane, though still dangerous, explanations.
Right. Official sources like NOAA say it's not actually statistically more dangerous than other busy ocean areas, correct?
Correct. They point to a combination of factors. The weather there can be extremely volatile, sudden, violent storms. Water spouts can pop up quickly.
That makes sense.
The Gulf Stream current is very strong through there, which could quickly carry away wreckage, making searches harder. Navigation can be tricky with all the islands, and there's that known issue with magnetic versus true north potentially causing compass errors if pilots or captains aren't careful.
And what about the methane gas thing? I heard someone call it oceanic flatulence.
Huh. Yes, the methane hydrate hypothesis. The idea is that huge bubbles of methane gas trapped in icy structures on the seabed could suddenly erupt.
And that would do what? Sink a ship?
Potentially. A massive gas release could drastically lower the water density, causing a ship above to lose buoyancy and sink very rapidly. Some even speculate it could affect low-flying aircraft. But it's mostly theoretical. It hasn't been proven as the cause for any specific triangle disappearance.
So lots of plausible natural hazards, but maybe not a single smoking gun for all the disappearances. especially the ones where nothing was ever found.
Exactly. The combination of known hazards likely explains many incidents, but the enduring mystery around certain key losses keeps the legend going strong.
And it's not just the Bermuda Triangle, is it? History's full of ships just vanishing.
Oh, absolutely. The Mary Celeste, found perfectly intact, under sail, but completely empty. The SS Waratah, a passenger liner that disappeared without a trace off South Africa. The Joyita, found adrift and abandoned in the Pacific. The ocean has always swallowed ships and people without explanation.
These historical mysteries just add to the ocean's aura of the unknown.
And lately, it feels like we're seeing new kinds of strangeness, things that feel very current, very unsettling, linked perhaps to environmental changes.
You mean like the crazy ocean temperatures we saw recently?
Yes, exactly. 2024 saw these freakishly high global ocean surface temperatures. The North Atlantic in particular had this huge anomaly, temperatures way, way above normal for a long time. Scientists called it statistically extraordinary.
Like beyond what the climate models were predicting.
Seemingly so. It raised concerns that perhaps the oceans are warming even faster or in more complex ways than we anticipated.
And this seems to be impacting deep-sea life, forcing them out of their normal zones.
There are reports suggesting that, like deep-sea anglerfish, creatures built for the crushing dark depths being found much shallower than usual. It could be a sign of habitat disruption, maybe chasing cooler water or following prey that's also shifting.
And the mass whale strandings, those seem to be in the news more, and they're just awful to see.
They are heartbreaking and often puzzling, like that huge stranding of false killer whales in Tasmania. Over 150 of them.
What causes something like that?
It's complex and likely varies. Sometimes it's natural, tricky coastlines, illness spreading through a pod, but human activity is increasingly suspected as a major factor in many cases, especially intense underwater noise.
Like military sonar, or those seismic air guns used for oil exploration.
Precisely. Military sonar can be incredibly loud, potentially disorienting or even injuring marine mammals that rely heavily on sound. Seismic surveys are even louder. There's growing evidence linking exposure to these intense sounds to strandings, possibly by confusing the animal's navigation or causing panic.
So on top of climate change messing with temperatures and currents, our own noise pollution might be driving whales ashore. That adds a whole other layer of, well, responsibility to the mystery.
It does. While climate change is seen as a huge driver, shifting habitats, changing food availability, the interplay with direct human impacts like noise pollution is still being actively researched to understand the exact mechanisms behind these disturbing trends.
And of course, events like these fuel all sorts of speculation online, right? End of days stuff.
Naturally, unusual, large-scale negative events often get interpreted as signs or warnings. But setting aside the apocalyptic takes, the reality is that these increasing anomalies, the temperature spikes, the habitat shifts, the strandings, highlight how sensitive marine ecosystems are and how rapidly things might be changing down there, maybe faster than we realize.
It really feels like the ocean isn't just holding on to its ancient mysteries, it's actively generating new ones, maybe sending us a message in the process.
When you put it all together, the sheer vastness we haven't explored, the weird glows and sounds that blur myth and reality, creatures like the giant squid we barely know, the truly inexplicable things like those seabed holes or the black hole eddies.
And now these worrying signs of rapid environmental change, possibly linked to things like strandings and weird animal behavior.
It just reinforces how much the ocean remains a place of profound mystery. Full of wonders, yes, but also anomalies that stump our best science.
Well, our knowledge seems so tiny compared to the potential for discovery, both natural discoveries and maybe unsettling discoveries about our own impact.
Yeah.
So, given how little we really know about the deep ocean and the strange, sometimes genuinely terrifying things you're seeing, what else could be happening down there? Beneath the surface, completely unseen, what other unbelievable things, or maybe just deeply unsettling truths, are waiting? What message are all these anomalies trying to send us?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the ocean's mysteries.
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed exploring the cool, the weird, and the possible with us,
Make sure to subscribe to our channel.
so you don't miss our next deep dive into the unexplained.